We nailed captaincy again last game week with Alvarez. Let's see if we can continue the streak. For the first time in a few weeks, Haaland returns to the shortlist. He faces Brentford away, but will he play for enough minutes? We'll take a look at his expected minutes later on in the video. He's got firm competition in Watkins and Solanke this game week. They face Sheffield United away and Forest at home respectively, which are easy fixtures, and they're both 90-minute men. Starting with the non-penalty stats per 90 minutes, it's no surprise that Haaland's dominating this. I do doubt that he will play 90 minutes though. It does just go to show how explosive he is when he's playing. Comparing the other two players, it's clear that Watkins is ahead. The underlying stats are better at projecting the future return points than the actual return points themselves. By that I'm referring to the expected numbers, but let's not take anything away from Watkins. He deserves a lot of credit for his finishing this season. Whilst the non-penalty stats are decent for Watkins, he's the only player on the shortlist that doesn't take penalty duties for his respective club. None of them taking direct free kicks or corners. When it comes to direct free kicks, Haaland does take one occasionally, but that's quite rare. It depends who's on the pitch. The Norwegian's odds are very impressive this game week. He's got the highest anytime goal scorer odds by quite a margin and the highest anytime return odds, but it's important to remember that these odds are based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. If all three players were guaranteed 90 minutes this game week, then I wouldn't be recording this best captain video because it would be pointless. Everyone would just jump on Haaland. The odds for Watkins and Solanke are practically neck and neck. Whilst it's beneficial that Solanke's odds are weighted more heavily on goals, Watkins has a slightly higher chance of success. I'd call it a draw. There's barely anything to split them on the points projections either. Nevertheless, Watkins does beat Solanke on both websites. He's got the highest figure on FPL Review with 6, and on Fantasy Football Fix, Haaland's got the biggest figure with 5.8. As you can see, the data models on both websites are conflicting. Review's got Haaland as the lowest, whilst Fix has got Haaland as the highest, and I think that's down to the assumption of expected minutes. On the Fantasy Football Fix website, they've got Haaland as an 80% chance of starting. As for FPL Review, I'm assuming they've got it lower, or they're thinking he could get dragged off earlier if he's starting. If we were to average out the points projections, it is close between the three players on the shortlist. Watkins edges it with 5.65, Haaland's on 5.55, and Solanke's 5.5. However, the difficulty in opposition isn't close between the three players this game week. Watkins has the easiest fixture by far. That's against Sheffield United. They've got the worst defensive numbers in the whole league so far this season. They've been expected to concede 2 goals per 90 minutes, and they've been averaging 2.5 goals per 90 minutes conceded. To be fair, they do have the home advantage against Villa, but even if you look at the expected goals conceded at home, they're the worst for that in the whole league as well. When you combine Forest's defensive numbers with the fact that Solanke's got the home advantage, and Haaland having to travel away to Brentford with slightly better defensive numbers, it's clear to see that Solanke has the slightly easier fixture. But to be fair, I wouldn't let any of that information put you off Haaland. If you look at the clean sheet odds for Brentford, they're actually even lower than Sheffield United and Forest. So with City having a 92% chance of scoring at least 1 goal, it wouldn't be bad to captain one of their attackers because there is a decent chance that they could get a goal or an assist. Before we make a decision, we're going to carry out a quick risk assessment. Whilst I'm recording this video, Solanke's not yet played against West Ham. I'm assuming he's going to play roughly 90 minutes, but I don't want to estimate that because I can't predict the future. However, I'm almost certain that he's going to play in this match, and if he does, he's going to have less than 3 days of rest, which isn't ideal, but he doesn't seem to have fitness issues. All of that information is factored into the expected minutes, and there is no concerns there, and it's the same for Watkins as well. He's expected to play 90 minutes too. And the key talking point is Haaland. Yeah, he gets 5 recovery days, but is he going to be fit enough to start the match? And if he is, how many minutes is he going to play? He only featured for 90 minutes at the end of the match in the last fixture, and it doesn't look like Pep's interested in rushing him back in. He did do this with De Bruyne, and he benched him for a few games in a row before he started him. But just because he's done that with De Bruyne, it doesn't mean he's going to do that with Haaland. He's only got 68 expected minutes, which means FPL Review are predicting that he's going to start and play roughly 70 minutes. I can't disagree with that myself. Of course, his expected minutes will be slightly higher than this if he does start the match, because 68 does factor in the chance that he could possibly be benched. Personally, I think if we don't get information on Haaland, I don't think he's worth the risk. I'd captain one of the other 2 players, but if we do get information before the deadline and it's a leak that he is going to start, then I would bring him in and captain him. So that leaves Watkins and Solanke. So between the two of them, I'm going to captain the player with the most promising underlying stats. the highest output, the highest chance of an attacking return, the better points projection on both FPL Review and Fantasy Football Fix, who's facing the easiest opponent, and gets the most recovery. I'm going to captain Watkins this game week if we don't get information on Haaland. If you found this video informative, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss any more videos like this.